Now I want to talk about overcoming money guilt. And this is one of those aspects that I have a lot of clients that I work with that have this, including even myself. When I started in this process, when I started learning more about psychology and I started developing my own business, I recognized that I had some guilt with having money. Because I would think to myself, who am I? How am I more worthy? If these people are more talented, maybe they have something better to give than I do. Maybe if I have, I'm taken away from someone else from having. Who am I to truly be worthy of this money? Or just having abundance and the freedom. In fact, I remember when my lifestyle started changing, even the guilt of putting myself traveling and living life like this and having that flexibility and freedom, that I would have some friends that would look at it and says, I hate you, Joel. And they didn't mean it, but maybe part of them did. But it's almost like that guilt of seeing people that do not have, that creates it in us, that guilt of us having. For example, a lot of times that feeling, that perception comes from our families and it's passed down to friends, to society, telling us how we should live and what we should have and what's wrong and what's right. The other part is that within that misery, or within that lack, sometimes we find connection. Because a lot of times what I find is that people connect more by talking about their problems or not having enough money to do this or do that and complaining. It's kind of a little bit more awkward when you're in a situation, in a setting, and somebody's complaining about their financial situation, and you're able to say, no, I don't have that problem. When they say, oh, what's happening with you? How are you financially? To be able to say, no, I'm doing great. I'm thriving. My business is growing. And to sometimes to have that community around you that supports your growth is critical. But again, is that feeling when there's not enough to go around. And it might have been with statements when we were young that somebody might have said to your parents, eat every piece of bite of your food on your plate. There's starving children in the other side of the world. Or it could have been other statements that people said that kind of makes you feel guilty of me having when others don't. And the same thing happens again with money. So how can you create if you have a feeling of guilt? How can you create abundance if you don't feel comfortable being abundant? If you feel like it's somehow less for other people, like you're putting yourself in a different spectrum as those around you, you're looking at them like if you're conceited or arrogant because you have it? Or is it that fear of separation that you have because of that guilt that you are going to have money? See, connection is a strong driving force. It impacts our family, friends, how we see them and how they see us. How would they see us differently if we were abundant? So again, it's that perception of what makes us worthy. So if you have guilt, it tends to create, again, more of that strong feeling and perception of lack, of a small pie and taken away from other people, and also that sense of competition. Because when there's lack, that means that people are competing for the small resources. And realistically, there's enough for everyone. And by you not having money, doesn't actually improve the lives of those that you know. It doesn't help people grow, the ones that you know. So that having a feeling of guilt, because I have, actually limits you from your ability to contribute at a very deep level. So it's overcoming that need, that unconscious need, and reprogramming those associations with money to a feeling of worthiness. And again, it doesn't make you conceited, it doesn't make you arrogant. So recognizing that everyone deserves. So if you have a close friend or a family member in your life, do you want to see them thrive? Do you want to see them grow? Do you want them financially abundant and freedom in their lives? If you say yes, then ask yourself, do I deserve the same thing? Because it really should include you, yourself, and what you deserve. See, those mental viruses, that conscious agreement that we make, we have to snap it so we can prove to ourselves our own worthiness by providing what would it mean for us to have money? What is a worthy reason for us to have money? And, me and Natalie have played the lottery game where we add up certain amount of money that we would win and pretend like we did it every day. And the more we won, the more we were able to expand on what we would do with that money. And we recognized how we would be able to contribute, to give back to so many people. And that's one of the best things that I love about having financial freedom. It's my ability to see a family member in need and be able to help them, to be able to see someone in the community that needs something and to be able to go buy them some things that they might need, or food or whatever it is, something that's going to impact their life at a deeper level. So that is what the opportunities of letting go of that guilt. So ask yourself, do you feel guilty offering your products or services, or asking for people to pay for those products or services? Do you feel guilty charging your worth? Like if they have to pay you $100, $200 for your product or service, do you feel like you're taking away from their ability or their financial stability? And if you feel that, I want you to consider something, that many times people have spending money. And that's the money that they're going to spend either with you or someone else. They might spend it at Starbucks. They might spend it at a restaurant, going to the movies. They might spend it in a new outfit that they want, or shoes, or whatever it is. But we have a tendency in our society to spend things that we don't really need. So ask yourself, what do you bring to the table? How would you helping someone have what you have to give, either through your products or service, how would it impact their life? How would it impact their world? How would it impact the life of those around them? What would they miss out if they don't have your product or service? Because when you see that transaction, and I call it, money is really a transaction that you have with someone, a transaction for growth, a transaction for opportunity, a transaction for transformation that you can provide them with products or services. And again, we'll talk more about the value that you give yourself and the value that you have, but it's changing that perception. So if you don't have enough money to fully offer what you have to give, your service or products, and if you really sit down and think about it, not having abundance limits your ability to develop yourself professionally, personally, and really develop other people. So if you don't have the financial abundance or the money to be able to give your products and services the way that you want to, ask yourself, how will it prevent you from going all out on what you want to give? How would it limit you from your true potential of what you have to give? And if you can't feel comfortable with abundance and freedom, how will it hold you back? So if you don't have abundance, freedom, and that joy of having that, how would that hold you back? How will it hold you back at an emotional level, in your relationships, at a professional level, and those that you serve? How will it limit you? So again, what good things could come to the world, to those that you serve, if you were abundant? How could you give back? So look at those people around you, even friends or family. How would you give back to them? How could you give to your greater society? What is something that you're truly passionate about that you can give back if you were abundant? Because if you can shift your perception about money as an opportunity from guilt, then you can let go of that. And it takes time. Sometimes it depends on you, and depends how quickly you can switch that mindset and how quickly you can refocus it when you have that sense of guilt over money. But if you can let go of that guilt of money and realize that you shouldn't feel guilty for having, that you should rejoice in your ability to give and your ability to contribute, that money is not something that makes you stand out in the sense that it separates you and disconnects you from those in need, but that it actually is a vehicle to be able to help those that need you. Again, a lot of people have to overcome guilt of having money. Are you one of those people? And if you are, think about how it might be holding you back.